Take two. Well, it's Saturday, the 21st of May. This is episode 2120 of 301 Permanently Moved or Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me at the JMO. Okay. In an attempt to please a small but vocal segment of the audience, I'm going to talk about the Royals. But we have a problem. I sat for an hour yesterday to write the draft script for today and accidentally wrote 2,500 words with no end in sight. Which is why I mentioned in episode 2018 that this topic is more of an IRL thing. We both drink beer, I monologue, you listen. So I've added a number to the show's title. It'll be a slow burn mini-series or something. Anyways, let's begin with a disclaimer. I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination, nor am I a staunch Republican. Instead, it's what I like to think of as a royal realist. What exactly is a royal realist, I hear you say? Well, to misappropriate Ronald Coase, it's about understanding the nature of the firm. Royalist realism is taking the royal family seriously as a political, cultural, and geopolitical actor. I have plenty of friends who'll say, the royal family doesn't have any real power, they're just a tourist attraction, what's the harm? To which I'll say, the Duchy of Cornwall, aka Prince Charles, vetted laws to stop his tenants from having the right to buy their own homes. Now, did Prince Charles sit at his desk and read all the legislation in person or whatever? Probably not. But these exemptions are frequently made as part of the standard parliamentary process, under a mechanism known as Queen's Consent. And we know from reporting this year that the Queen, or rather the institution of the Crown, has vetted more than 1,000 parliamentary bills during her reign. The 1967 Leasehold Reform Act includes exclusions to allow the Duchy of Cornwall to operate its holdings as an actual feudal estate. The Crown is not a TV show, but instead a non-statutory corporation sole. Let me explain. There are two types of corporation in British law, a corporation sole and a corporation aggregate. All the things that come to mind when you think about what a corporation are in the second kind. Companies made up of individual persons, i.e. partners or directors, in aggregate. The Crown is the former. Corporation sole evolved from church law, legal entities consisting of a single sole incorporated office, occupied by a single sole natural person. Put simply, it's the office that controls the assets. For example, when you become a bishop, you put on the pectoral cross, and along with it comes a legal Jaeger. You are a bishop, but now in control of the office and assets of the bishop. Whilst this has a complicated history, the crown goes back to William III. Essentially, it ensures that when the sovereign dies, the sovereign never legally dies. The firm's mission is to ensure the continuation of the crown. Think for a moment about the Crown Estate. You know, the thing that owns quite a bit of central London and are nightmare landlords. The entity that also owns virtually all of the UK seabed from the mean low water mark out to 12 nautical miles and approximately 55% of the UK's foreshore. Oh, I hear you say, but it has to give 75% of its profits to the government. Sure, but the Crown Estate represents the sovereign's public estate. Since 2011, 25% that remains after the government takes its tithe is paid to the monarch's private estate. In essence, what's good for the Crown is good for the government, an entity that has enormous power over the naturally occurring gold and silver and other resources in the UK, our shorelines and a lot of farmland and much more. The Queen is its owner in so much as she's the one wearing a crown and piloting the mech. Further afield, let's consider the Cayman Islands. The City of London, the Crown, and the UK government's primary role in the world, since the end of empire and the rise of global finance capitalism, has been to operate the world's tax havens. The Cayman Islands will stash anyone's money as long as it has the boss's face on it. The boss, of course, being the Queen. And her face is on about 1/3 of the world's money. The Cayman Islands are a parliamentary dependency under a constitutional monarchy. Locals have a democracy for local issues and elect a premier every 4 years. A role that, by the way, was up until 2009 known as the leader of the government's business, which isn't a good role title if you're in charge of a notorious tax haven. The de facto head of state for the Cayman Islands is the governor, appointed by the monarch on the advice of the British government. Again, what's good for the government is what's good for the crown. In 2016, Jeremy Corbyn said that if elected Prime Minister, he would impose direct orders on British overseas territories and crown dependencies to stop them acting as tax havens. This is an under-discussed reason why the establishment made it its mission to destroy the man by any means possible. To close, I'll briefly gesture towards Prince Harry's recent comments about what it's like being in the royal family. In the next part, whenever that is, we'll consider what it must be like to be trapped inside the mechanisms of an institution that has not cared about anything other than itself since 1760.